Welcome everyone to this afternoon's webinar. My name is Andrew Gardner from the BrainPOP Educators team, and I'm joined by Carrie and Robert. You can see Robert right now, and Carrie may give you some face a little later, but right now it's just myself presenting. We're really excited to have you here this afternoon. There's Carrie. To learn more about BrainPOP in a webinar that we're calling Explain, Play, and Create, which is some of the ways to position using BrainPOP with students. There we go. All right, so here's the webinar for the schedule for today. Do a quick overview of how Zoom works, which is this new platform that we're trying today for the first time. I have a few poll questions that I'll share with you in a minute. Then we'll talk generally what is BrainPOP as a learning platform, and then the specific ideas behind Explain, Play, and Create in Bloom's taxonomy. And then we'll take some examples through the BrainPOP website and the BrainPOP Jr website. We'll take live tours. And then, of course, QA and audio. So we'll try to get this wrapped up in 45 minutes to make sure that you get time to play on your own before the end of the hour. So who's here from BrainPOP? Myself, Carrie, and Robert with the Educators team. We're all former teachers, and our job here is to support teachers to get the most out of BrainPOP. BrainPOP's changed a lot in the last few years, so our job has changed a lot in the way that we communicate about the tool. It's important to know that today we're talking about BrainPOP, which is 800 topics in all subject areas. It's for grades 3 and up, and BrainPOP Jr, which is about 250 plus topics in all subject areas in K to 3. That's what we're going to review. We're not going to review some of the other products, just BrainPOP and Jr. In addition, letting you know this straight up, this webinar is a broad overview of BrainPOP and Jr. We're not going to get deep nitty-gritty into the specifics of how the features and tools work. I'm just going to talk about them in kind of more general strokes. And we're going to communicate a variety of ways to use that you can use BrainPOP to help students learn. We're not going to talk about technical setup today. We're not going to do a deep exploration of a specific feature or tool. We're not going to talk about BrainPOP ESL or BrainPOP Espanol. If you're interested in all those things, which are totally valid interests, you can check out BrainPOP Educators. We have archived webinars like today's that go deep into how to concept map with kids or how to make movies with kids or how to play games and the value of gameplay. So all of that support material exists, and you're more than welcome to access it, but I don't want you to get the expectation today that we're going to take a deep dive into those. It's more generally, hey, how is this platform useful for a lot of different purposes for myself as a teacher and for my students for learning. So I wanted to set this up in the beginning so that you don't have false expectations. If this doesn't seem right for you, there's no reason for you to stick around today. We don't want to waste your time. So but if you feel good about this as articulated, stick around. Good. All right. In the past, BrainPOP has had generic usernames and passwords where everyone in the whole school, all the teachers, all the students, all the admin had the same username and password no matter where they were in the room, in the school. And it was really useful for explanations and for playing some games. And we had a mobile app. Now, in the last few years, we've introduced individual logins for students and teachers. So not everyone logs in generically. It's individual. And because individual students and teachers are logged in, students can now play and document their play and document their creation activities that they can then submit to teachers. It's a much more powerful use of BrainPOP than just the explain that happens when you're logged in generically. So again, I'm not going to get into the details of how to set up those individual accounts, but I am going to get into what you can do when they are set up. Additionally, mobile apps are legacy. Oh, I have iOS devices in my second grade classroom. That's terrific. Go to junior.brainpop.com using Safari and don't download the app, because the features that we're talking about today are web-based. They are not app-based. Again, that's worth repeating. They are web-based, not app-based. All right, so let's talk about this vernacular, explain, play, and create, and how that kind of connects with Bloom's taxonomy. Most of us are teaching professionals, have gone to graduate school. We've probably talked about Bloom's taxonomy. It was revised a few years ago to kind of more accurately reflect kind of the technology and what we expect children to do. And today we're going to position all the different things you can do on BrainPOP as either explanations, which are on the lower end of Bloom's taxonomy through understanding and remembering. BrainPOP does a really good job of that through movies and through FYIs. We're going to talk about play, which is through games or quizzes or challenges, where students move up from just receiving passively information through a movie or through an FYI, but begin actually playing with the information to analyze it, apply it, and begin thinking more deeply about it. And of course, the top of the pyramid is create, where we have tools like concept mapping, and students can make their own BrainPOP style movies where they are creating and producing original work that explains their perception or opinion or what they understand about a certain topic area. So we're going to position all of the features and what you can do on BrainPOP through this little lens of explain, play, and create. The difference is explain is something that BrainPOP does to a student. They explain. The play and the create are what the student does on BrainPOP. So one is more passive and the other two are more active. So let's take, for example, sharks, okay? Say a student wants to study sharks. They go to the BrainPOP topic page that looks similar to this, looks just like this, and they'll see sharks. And the front and center is the movie, right? And most of you have seen the movie. You understand how we might explain sharks, which is great. That's an explain. Other explains, I'm actually just going to go on to my next slide, are other features on this page. So if I'm moving on to the next slide, sorry, the annotation's still there, isn't it? Is it still there? I have to figure out how to erase the annotation. I'm not exactly sure how to do that. All right, I'm not going to worry about it. For explanations, there are the movies, such as the movie about the shark. We have primary sources, which will share with students a primary source, in this case, a visual depiction of a shark from many, many years ago, and there'll be some questions about it. We also have FYIs. FYIs are short, nonfiction, informational texts that explain in more detail elements and details about sharks that may not have been explored as deeply in the content of the movie. So there's the Did You Know, there's the Way Back When, there's trivia, arts and entertainment, but these are by and large passive. We can make recommendations for how to show a movie and have active or reactive viewing strategies, but by and large is BrainPOP presenting and explaining things to a student. Next, we have the play. Students can play on BrainPOP through games. The one we're showing here on the left is Sortify, where students are putting different data about ocean life into different buckets and being evaluated on their effectiveness of sorting them. Of course, the game is Sortify, so the mechanic is that you're sorting things. We also have two kinds of quizzes. One is the general quiz, which is 10-question multiple choice. And we also have the challenge, which we'll look at in a little bit later. So that's moving from the explanation, which is the basic receptive part, to the play, where the students are working with some of the information that may have been explained in the movie or in the FYI or the primary source. And finally, we get to the fun part that I think is the create, where students can show what they know about what they've learned on BrainPOP. So for example, if they've looked at the movie and learned and done research about shark, they could create a concept map. This is a student created concept map that you see on the screen, where we see the internal and external attributes of sharks. And students are creating this. They get a blank canvas and they can drag on and put things to show what they know and draw connections and links between stuff. And my favorite is the Make a Movie, where students can create their own movies about what they know. And this is one about sharks that's produced by a third grade student and his preschool younger brother. I'm going to see if I can erase that annotation and then, there we go, that's better. We're going to watch the movie. Oh, wait, I just drew something else. Oh, shucks. I'm sorry, folks. Again, getting used to this new feature. All right, let's watch the movie.
Dear Max and Moby, can you tell me about a megalodon from your friend? Megalodons can be bigger than huge whale sharks. Megalodons can have over 300 teeth. That's a lot of teeth.
Megalodons can eat fish and little turtles, and even grown-up turtles, and maybe a little tiny boy, and maybe a toy too. Megalodons can swallow a whole submarine.
The Ice Age water was too cold for megalodons. Scientists believe that megalodons have been extinct for hundreds of millions of years, but now they believe they're coming back.
Great. So, of course, that's an example of the kind of film that students can make using BrainPOP. And I particularly like that because you can see it's young children doing it, working together. And in addition, at the end of the video, he makes an assertion that really isn't true. He says that they're coming back. And the only way we can teach children to be skeptical of some of the content that they consume on the internet is through having them create it themselves. And if Max, who's that child, knows that it's not true, he can begin understanding that some of the other information that he encounters online may not be true. We still want them to trust reputable things, but some of the stuff that is out there is not reputable. So we can see, through these slides that, beginning with the explanation using the movie and the FYIs, stuff is explained to the child. Next, through the play of the game and the quizzes and the challenges, they are applying and analyzing some of the information that they've encountered. And finally, at the end, through creating the concept map and the movie, they're showing what they know on BrainPOP as well. So BrainPOP really runs the gamut from the intro to the self-expression. And most people who have used BrainPOP for a number of years really only associate us with the movies that students watch. So that's why we're trying to position it a little different. So let's now take a look at an actual topic page on the website. So instead of me sharing slides, you can see what it would look like on the website. So I'm going to share a different page now. Give me one moment. And can you all see my Firefox? Yes, okay. So right now I'm on BrainPOP's topic page about Mars. I'm first going to show you how I got there. So excuse me for a moment. We're just going to open up a new tab here. And for those of you, many of you are familiar with BrainPOP. You have not seen BrainPOP movies before. This is the landing page where we've got all the subject areas down the side. And we've got over 800 specific topic pages around all different subject areas. So I'm going to click in science, for example, and I can see that BrainPOP is structured as subject, in this case science, unit. So right now we have units right here, from cellular life and genetics to environment and space. So I could break it down into a specific unit, or I could go right to a topic. So I'm just going to show you a list of all the topics so you get a sense of the diversity of them once you get down to the topic level. It's pretty impressive. So here we are, we're on the topic level. And starting with acceleration, because it's alphabetical here. And as I scroll down, I'll see, oh my gosh, we got carbon dating and cellular respiration. Keep going. Droughts, eclipse was just updated. Gee, I wonder why. Forces, forms of energy. And as I scroll down, I'll see all tons and tons and tons of different topics. And whenever I click through any of them, I will get to the movie and the concept mapping tool and the movie making tool and the quizzes and everything. So in this case, I already have Mars open, so I'm just going to go to that tab. And we can see here, this is a really robust topic, meaning that Mars has a little movie about Mars, but it also has a lot of different stuff to do. All these little tiles on the left. So all the movies begin with a question. I'm just starting it here. I'm going to turn on the closed captioning. If I wanted to make it full screen, I could.
That's not Mars. It's... Wait a second. You want me to say that other planet?
And it starts. Oh, so it goes Uranus or Uranus. Right?
Dear Tim and Moby, is there life on Mars? From Conrad. Yeah, a lot of you have been asking if Moby's a Martian. He isn't. Actually, he's from...
All right, so I'm going to pause it here, but through the next 5 minutes and 17 seconds, we would be prompted to learn more, and it would be explained to us about what is Mars. Okay. In addition to the movie, which is an explanation, we're going to look here at the FYI. In some cases, I have to click this little More Features button for the FYI to appear, and when I click it, opens up the page. And again, this is not interactive. This is just more information about Mars. Great if kids are doing research. You could write some questions about it. Now put them into the mixer, which is one of our tools. Scroll down here and you can see a little bit of information about Mother Nature and what life is like. Here's a bit of information about the different research elements that we've sent to Mars. Some myths about Mars. So again, all content that is just explanation, more information. Students could then do stuff with this with the other activities. As a teacher, of course, I can assign this to a student. We're not going to get into the details of that right now. The last thing I want to show is the primary source, because this is another explanation. It will give us some questions, but there's also a visual associated with it. So when I click on primary source, here are some questions that are going to guide my viewing. When I click View, it opens up another tab, which shows me a comparison of rock formations on Mars and on Earth. Now, if I go back to that other tab, I will get questions about the comparison. So that's going to guide my viewing. So that's moving from passive into something a bit more interactive. And of course, the answers to the questions can be submitted to a teacher. So now we've looked at 3 explanation elements of BrainPOP. Let's go into the play elements now. You could call quiz play, you could call it assessment. We like to call it play at BrainPOP because it's kind of more fun to do it as a playful experience with your students. So when you open it up, it's going to ask you a question. It's going to say which of the following images correctly represents the relative sizes of Earth and Mars. Students logged in individually could answer this question, submit it to you, and you get information about what they get, right and wrong. Or you could do a class activity where you say, hey, if you think it's answer A, go to this corner of the room. Answer B, go to this corner. Answer C, go to this corner. Answer D, go to this corner. Or you have the students write it in a little piece of paper in their hand so they can self-check as you go through. There's lots of different ways of doing it. You do a game show. Someone has to ring a buzzer and come up and make a choice. There's no wrong way to do it. But the most general is, hey, did they get it right or wrong? And they submit it to me. And it provides information to you about what the students understand, but it can be more playful too. That's up to you as the professional making the decision about how to use the feature. So another element of play, which is kind of a more advanced quiz, is called the challenge. Now the challenge is not on every single feature on BrainPOP, but it's on a number of them. It looks similar to the landing page, like, oh, do I want to take the review or the graded? Take the graded, and it's telling me I'm going to have to fill in a Venn diagram. I'm going to have to do a closed sentence activity, do a multiple response, and a matching activity. So when I click through here, oh, look, I now have to think about different attributes of Earth and Mars and identify where they fit on a Venn diagram. This can be submitted to a teacher. You can see if the students got it correct or incorrect. A lot of great information that you can collect from students. So I'm just dragging these in randomly. I'm going to click keep going. It's a lag bad.
It's not the lag, it's hard to see. You kill your camera, does that help?
Oh, I'm going to try killing my camera, folks. One sec. Maybe this is better. All right, so this is a closed sentence activity where students can drag details into the sentences. I'm not reading them right now, so this is a multiple response answer. And the last one's matching. This one's fun. It shows images, and I have to match them to the descriptor. So this is a much more playful experience than just watching a movie that's, arguably passive. And at the end, it tells you how many you got right, and you can review your results. If you're a student, you can submit them to the teacher. All right, so we looked at the quiz and the challenge, which are basic play. Let's look at Sortify, which is a really fun game. And this is Sortify Space Exploration. We're going to open this up. And as I told you before, Sortify is a game about sorting. You guessed it, right. And we're going to get information about space exploration. Mars is part of that. And I get a bunch of buckets. And I can choose a bucket, and I can label it. So let's say I want some, categorize some stuff from the space race era. So I can say, well, Copernicus was certainly not space race, but Sputnik was, so I could drag that in there. It's a 4-point category. I'm going to guess, because this is a Russian last name, that this is something to do with the space race. I'm going to say those are maybe the only two. Let me put in one that's incorrect, like Mars. Let's click to open the bucket. I'm going to submit and see if my answers were correct. I was right about Sputnik and Valentina Tereshkova, who I don't even know who she is. I was incorrect about Mars. And now that bucket has been removed. So it's a way of playing around with the information and categorizing it. And I can have multiple buckets with multiple categories. And some will fit in, some of the categories, or some of the data will fit in multiple categories. So again, this is a playful experience with the information. I'm done here. Yes, I'm sure. And that is Sortify. Let me go back to the Mars topic page. There we go, down here. So for play, we've now looked at quiz, challenge, Sortify. Time Zone X is a different game. Meaning a Beep is a different game. We're not going to go into all of them. I failed to mention Newsela as an explain. This is a new one. Let me click it really quickly so we see. If I click this, Newsela, as some of you may know, is a website that levels nonfiction text for students. It's not BrainPOP. It's a different website, but we've now partnered with them. So if I clicked the View on Newsela button, it would bring me an article that's related to Mars. I'm sorry, I'm going back to explain with this, but once it loads up, we'll see. And it will be leveled. So it shows Lexile numbers in the corner, and I can choose them based on what reading level I may need. I see clearly it's not loading right now. Let me try it again. Let's reload. I'm gonna let that go in the background while I click back over to the Science tab. Sorry, over the Newsela tab. All right, so we've talked about explanations through movies, FYIs, Newsela. We've talked about play through quiz, challenge, Time Zone X, Meaning a Beep, Sortify, and different games. We're going to move up to create, where students can create stuff. And I'm going to start by showing the Make a Map tool. Make a Map allows students, as I said earlier, to create concept maps, which is a very specific kind of learning strategy. So I'm not going to go too deep into the value of concept mapping, but I do want to show you the interface. So you can see I can watch the movie up here. If I go to a certain point in the movie.
Ancient times. Its reddish color led the ancient Romans to name it after their god of war.
So this is telling me when and why it was named. So I'm going to say named after god of war. So now I'm creating with BrainPOP. I can bring in images, funny Martians that aren't real. There's a picture of that. I love bringing in keywords, because whenever I bring in a keyword, so let's say like thin atmosphere, you'll notice a play icon appears. And when I click that play icon, guess it, it's going to play that moment of the movie.
Mars has a very thin atmosphere, so it doesn't trap heat like ours does.
You can stop it again by pressing there. The movie will explain the term will be used in the context of the movie. It may be explicitly defined, or it may not be. So in this case, it's not really explicitly defined, but it's used in context. You can also bring in blank nodes. I can write notes on my map, all sorts of things. So as a student now, I can begin showing what I've learned about Mars through the concept mapping tool. All right. Again, we're not going deep. I'm just showing you generally that you can do this. Another exciting thing you can do is you can make a movie. When I click make a movie, it's going to open a similar interface to what we just saw with the concept map. Like a BrainPOP movie, it starts the question, so I can use one that's prefabricated. So like, what are some of the similarities between Earth and Mars? Click that. And I can begin composing scenes on the left here. So, sorry, dragged on, there we go. It's like a little animation. Oh, I got two of them there. That shows the rover, and maybe I could start my movie by saying, you know, the rover is one of the ways that we can learn about the qualities of the surface of Mars and begin comparing it to that in Earth. So I can bring in Earth to an image of Earth. I can annotate it as we just show. I can draw. I can do a whole background. And what's really fun is I can record my audio explaining what I've learned. So all these movies, just like BrainPOP movies, start with a question, and then you, over time, create scenes and can record what you know over time. So one could organize and plan for their movie using the Make a Map tool, and then execute and make the movie using the movie tool making itself. Again, this is a very, very light general overview, just illustrating to you that students can create. I'm not showing you a very good movie right here, but students, of course, can do a lot with what they've learned. I'm going to go back to show you the last thing that students can create on BrainPOP, which is coding exercises. This is particularly fun because, of course, there's a big emphasis on code and on coding with the Hour of Code every December. And giving kids opportunities to play around with coding and understand what it means to get behind the scenes with technology tools that they use regularly. So there's 4 kinds of coding project. I'm going to choose the Newscast in this case. It's going to open up a new interface and prompt me to create a newscast that explains the latest discovery from Mars. Over here on the left, I see my instructions. So here's a newscast. It's saying action, select a video from the videos tab on the right. So I go over here and click videos and drag one on. And then I would click next. And it would tell me, all right, next you're going to do a headline. So you have to click text blocks. So it's a clicking and dragging. It's guiding you very explicitly. But as you do it, you'll see, as I do it right now, it's going to add code to my source. This is JavaScript, so it's showing me JavaScript. It's saying, hey, movie equals the video. The movie source is the Curiosity rover. Told me to do that. So here's the text block. I'm going to have to, and it says hello, but I could write something else. And it's going to tell me all the coding variants that I need to add to make a successful coding project. The interesting thing about this coding tool on BrainPOP is that it's content specific. So when I launched it from Mars, it's giving me Mars clips and giving me a prompt to create a newscast that explains the latest discovery. If I was to launch the creative coding project from a different topic, it would give me content from that topic, not from Mars. and would give me a prompt from the other content, not from Mars. So I can go back and find my projects. And again, I'm being very brief and overview just to say, hey, this is the kind of stuff that you can create on BrainPOP. Leave the page, go back here to and so we can see, we explained through the movie, through the FYI, through Newsela. Oh, let's see if Newsela opened. We played through the games and through the quizzes and the challenge. And then we designed and created through Make a Map, Make a Movie, and Creative Coding. Every BrainPOP topic has Make a Map and Make a Movie. But some of the BrainPOP topics do not have coding, do not have Newsela, do not have a challenge. And the best ways to find those is to use the search. So if I was searching for content that had creative coding, I could type in creative coding, and it's going to show me, hey, Andrew, of the 800 or so topics on BrainPOP, 49 of them have a coding feature. We're going to introduce it on more and more over time, but this is a brand new feature, so it's not on all of them. If I wanted to see how many features had a challenge, that was the piece where we did the Venn diagram and the matching and the closed sentences. I click the challenge. It says, oh, Andrew, 158 topics on BrainPOP have a challenge. So again, not all of them, just some. So that's a little bit about explain, play, and create on BrainPOP. We're going to switch gears into BrainPOP Jr., and then I'm going to wrap us up. Unless there are any pressing questions. I'm not looking at the chat right now, so is there anything I should address right now? Sorry.
Someone's asking if you can create movies or coding projects from your teacher account.
So right now, I'm in my teacher account creating them, yes. So if I was to go back to creative coding, I could click on my projects and see all of the projects that I've worked on. If I created a movie in my own teacher account, I could click on my movies and see all the movies I've created. Good question. Anything else I should address? All right, as I said, we're going to move on to BrainPOP Jr. All right? junior.brainpop.com. And you'll see there are slightly fewer features on BrainPOP Jr., but I'll explore them now, and some of them are a little bit different. So let's see. I'm going to see if there's Mars on BrainPOP Jr. Hint, hint, I know there is. So like BrainPOP, I could click on Science. This brings me into the units. So if I wanted to look in space, I can see there are 4 or 5 space videos or topic pages. I'm going to click into Mars. And some of the things that we don't have on BrainPOP Jr. currently are the Make a Movie tool. So that doesn't yet work on BrainPOP Jr. It's only on BrainPOP. However, the one reason I shared the Megalodon movie in the beginning was to show you that it's simple enough for younger kids to use. We just haven't yet brought it onto the platform yet. So we're not going to find Make a Movie here, and we're not going to find creative coding, because creative coding is also it's in JavaScript, which is certainly for older students and not really an appropriate coding language for the K-3 audience. We recommend something like Scratch Junior for them. However, we do have the explanations in form of the movie. So the movie here would also explain Mars, but in slightly simpler language than we'd see in the BrainPOP movie. And we also have some more kind of explanations or jokes almost in the form of Belly Up, which is our comic. So again, this is not interactive. It's just a comic, but you may have to understand a little bit about Mars to get the joke. So I want to be the first animal in space. It's already happened, Joey. It did? Yeah, the cow jumped over the moon. Ha ha, all right. So maybe you don't need to know too much about Mars to understand that, but it is still a joke. But these are the 2 of the more passive or explanation elements that are on a BrainPOP Jr. page. When we get into play, we of course have games, and this is an interactive game. There's some versions of Sortify, but this one is more of a puzzle.
Easy, medium,
hard,
easy.
When I click through, it's going to guide me through doing this. doing this puzzle. I'm not going to go into any more depth on it than that, but that's a playful experience. And then we get it, and of course the quizzes as well. I'm not going to open those up, but they're 5-question multiple choice. There's a more challenging one and a simpler one. The Make a Map tool works just the same as it does on BrainPOP as we move up to Create. But there are these other creates as well. One of the ones I'm most excited about is wordplay. If you click into wordplay, you'll see you have a number of the different words that are defined within the context of the movie, like planet, mission, Mars itself, orbiter, and rover. When you click into one, you have 3 different activities around it. So explore the word rover with a drawing. So maybe I could draw. This works great on tablets because you can do it with your fingers. I really like that there's little images I can bring in as well. So like maybe I bring in the surface like this and have it all along the bottom of my picture. And then I can draw my own rover on top. Right. So there's the drawing. There's a writing prompt. So maybe I could write, hey, the rover explores the surface of Mars and sends important information back to Earth. And my favorite is the act. So create a skit using this word. So you can have the little characters here, and you can change who they are, and you can write their little bits of dialogue. And this almost reminds me of those popular new text young adult novels. I don't know if you've seen those, but the entire novel for young adults is written through texting. And in some ways, this can lend itself to that kind of thing too. And it makes the writing process more focused on what you might act out and on shorter bits of writing. So I think the wordplay is a really great kind of expression of it's kind of hybrid play create, because they're creating a script, but it's a playful way of doing it. That's called the wordplay. And under here we have draw about it, which is a more dedicated drawing experience. Or write about it, which is going to prompt you to write. And the talk about it. I'm opening up write about it now. So imagine you were a scientist observing Mars using an orbiter or rover. What is Mars like? What do you see? Write a journal entry. And some of the words here on the side are defined, which is useful. And then you can type in here. And of course, as a student, it can be assigned, and the students can fill it in and send it to you. I'm logged in right now as a teacher, so all I see is the assign button. I'm sorry that it's blurry. That's good to know. And again, this is the first time we're using Zoom, so I'm sorry to hear it's not doing a good job displaying. That's frustrating to you and to us. But I hope the general idea of explain, play, and create has been communicated. So now we've looked through the BrainPOP Jr. page as well to show the explanations through the movies and the belly ups and the jokes, and the play through the quizzes and the games, and then the create through the draw about it, write about it, talk about it, activity, and make a map. I'm going to begin wrapping us up because I've already spoken too long and gone over a little the time that I was planning to do. And now, of course, this is a kind of final summary of what we just looked at. So for Mars movie on BrainPOP, we've got the movie, the primary source, the FYI, and Newsela are all explanations. The play is done through quiz, challenge, game up, and activities. And finally, the creation is done through make a map, make a movie, and creative coding. That's all the way that we can, from explain to create, all on BrainPOP. The same is the case here with BrainPOP Jr. In this case, I've just wrapped things in boxes. So the explanation is through the movie and the belly up and the Papa joke. Play is through the quizzes and the explanation, the draw about it, write about it, talk about it, activity and games. And the create is through make a map and wordplay. And if you're in a school that has a combo subscription, you can always have the K2 students quickly go over to BrainPOP to make the movies. They can do that. If you're interested in exploring this stuff more deeply, I'd recommend on BrainPOP Educator, we have PD Tic-Tac-Toe, where you could print one of these out and it would guide you through all of the different features. And you may even want to do a little analysis yourself. Is this an explanation? Is this a playful experience, or am I creating here? And these two little graphic organizers can help guide you, or it's something fun to do with your students or with peers as teachers, if that's something that you want to explore more deeply now that you've heard me explain it for the last 45 minutes. I'm going to begin wrapping us up. If you are more interested in going deeply into all of these things, we'd recommend the Certified BrainPOP Educator program. This is a certification program that's run through various conferences, and there's an online course. If you go to BrainPOP Educators and search for Certified BrainPOP Educator, you'll find all the more information about it. In addition, if you are intrigued by what you heard today and think your school or your district could be using BrainPOP more deeply than they currently are and would like us to come to you, we do offer BrainPOP professional development. Unlike certification or today's webinar, it is not free because we need to come to you, but we do offer that. So you can learn more about that on BrainPOP Educators as well. And I'm just wrapping up. I'm going to thank you for joining us today. My name is Andrew Gardner. I'm Andrew G at BrainPOP. Carrie and Robert have been helping facilitate the chat room today. They're Carrie M at BrainPOP and Robert M at BrainPOP. And the best place to reach us generally is educators@brainpop.com, which we can pop into the chat room. That goes to a general mailbox that we can all respond to. So that's it for today's webinar. Again, we appreciate you taking almost 50 minutes now of your time. I hope that the quality wasn't so bad that it was impossible to understand. When you exit out today, you will be prompted to fill in a survey, and please let us know what worked and what didn't, because again, this is a new platform for us, and so that will come to you as soon as you log out of Zoom at the end of today's workshop. And of course, we'll stick around for a few extra minutes if there are additional questions that you have that we have not yet answered. But I'm turning my face back on just to once again thank you for spending 50 minutes of your time learning more about BrainPOP. We will send you all certificates that say you attended and participated. You should receive those within 48 hours of the end of this. And of course, this is also archived and will be available on the BrainPOP Educators website. So if you want to refer to it later, you're welcome to do that. So, new meeting. So thanks again for your attendance today. We'll stick around for a few extra minutes, but I'm going to say thanks for joining us, mute myself, and say have a great rest of your Wednesday. Bye, folks.